have honored the story of Carl Brashear. Born into a sharecropping family in 1931, Carl Brashear rose from little to become the first African-American master diver and first amputee diver in the U.S. Navy. Brashear's path to success was difficult and unlikely given the many obstacles that barred his way. With determination and persistence, he overcame those challenges to fulfill his dream of becoming the first African-American master diver. Today, more than 15 years after his death, Carl Brashear is a household name following the popular success of Men of Honor. For many, he has come to represent the power of perseverance and resilience. Carl Maxey Brashear was born on January 19, 1931 in Tonyville, Kentucky, to parents McDonald and Gonzella Brashear. While a good student, Carl disliked school. He felt he didn't need an education. After finishing 8th grade, he declined to enroll in high school. By age 14, Carl decided to follow in the footsteps of his brother-in-law, who served as a soldier in the U.S. Army. He tried to enlist in 1948 when he turned 17, but he failed the Army entrance exam after becoming rattled by abrasive treatment from the test's proctors. On the way home from the disheartening experience, Brashear passed a Navy recruiting office and stopped in. The recruiter he met spoke so glowingly of the Navy, and so kindly to Carl, in sharp contrast to his interaction with the Army proctors, that Brashear chose to join the Navy instead. From February to May 1948, Brashear attended basic training at Naval Training Center Great Lakes. Brashear served in an integrated company and felt he was treated equally during these months at boot camp. Between the 1890s and the 1950s, the Navy alternated between barring African American sailors from service and segregating them in positions as messmen, stewards, and cooks. President Harry S. Truman's executive order officially integrating the U.S. Armed Forces, issued in July 1948, came 2 months too late for Carl Brashear, who completed boot camp and began service that May. Brashear served for 1 year as a steward during a 2-year assignment at Experimental Squadron 1 in Key West, Florida. He engineered his exit from the steward branch by befriending and impressing Chief Guy Johnson, who arranged for Brashear to transfer ratings to bosun's mate. In his new rating and role, Brashear worked as a beach master launching and recovering seaplanes from the beach. By the time Brashear finished his tour at Squadron VX-1 in June 1950, he had advanced to third-class bosun's mate. While at Squadron VX-1, Carl Brashear experienced a life-changing moment. He saw a Navy diver at work for the first time. He was captivated. In June 1950, Brashear reported to the escort aircraft carrier USS Palau CVE-122 for his first sea tour. Although he invested significant time in improving his skills as a bosun's mate, anchoring and mooring methods, for example, he wanted to become a diver, but his request to attend dive school was denied, souring his experience aboard Palau. Brashear continued his dive school petitions, undeterred by the rejections. As he waited, he fought on USS Tripoli's boxing team and took correspondence courses to continue his education. In 1954, more than 3 years after Carl Brashear's first request, the Navy granted him permission to attend salvage diving school in Bayonne, New Jersey, to train as a salvage diver. The 16-week course was fraught with racism and harassment for Brashear as the only African-American trainee. After mistaking him for a steward or cook, the training officer told Brashear he didn't think the white students would accept him, or that Brashear would make it through the school. Once classes began, students put notes in Brashear's bunk disparaging him with racial slurs and threatening to drown him. In spite of the intimidation and his limited education, Brashear worked hard and performed well in both the diving and academic portions of the school. After mistaking him for a steward or cook, he finished 16th in a class that began with 32 students, 15 of whom failed or dropped out. When I graduated from salvage school, by Brashear's account, he was the first African American to graduate from the salvage diving school. After completing his tour on USS Tripoli, Brashear joined the crew of the salvage ship USS Opportune Rs-41 as one of 18 divers. There he delighted in every salvage project, from raising an enormous gas barge to changing propellers underwater. In June 1956, Brashear came ashore for 2 years of duty at Naval Air Station Quonset Point. There he expanded his diving qualifications by training as a SCUBA diver. In 1957, Brashear was personally chosen to operate the crash boat that escorted Dwight Eisenhower's presidential yacht during Eisenhower's visits to Newport, Rhode Island, to play golf. At the assignment's end, President Eisenhower gifted Brashear a small knife engraved, "To Carl M. Brashear from Dwight D. Eisenhower, 1957, many, many thanks." Brashear so impressed his superiors that the captain of the presidential yacht offered to arrange a commission for him. Carl turned him down. He had focused his sights on a clear goal: to make chief and become the first black master diver in the Navy. 1960 Yelinda Carl Brashear Jadini Aldi, Yef Oldu Veba Rinchi Sinif Daljik Olmak, Ikan Egatim Almaya Baslada. Bunler Usta Daljik Olma Hedifying Guiden Yolda at Mast Garakan U Umlaut K Nemli at Amdak. Almost overnight, one misstep threatened to derail his plans. He failed out of the extremely difficult first-class course shortly after arriving at deep-sea diving school. Worse, the instructors demoted him from salvage diver to non-diver. The setback devastated Brashear. It did not stop him. After considering his options, he secured orders to the Fleet Training Center at Pearl Harbor and pulled strings to enroll in second-class diving school. The choice required swallowing his pride. A second-class qualification was better than being a non-diver, but ranked lower than a salvage diver. Carl Brashear returned to the fleet as a second-class diver in 1961. On a subsequent tour aboard the submarine rescue ship USS Kukul ASR-8, Brashear served under skipper Lt. George Steinke, the inventor of the Steinke submarine escape device. There Brashear qualified as officer of the deck, the only enlisted sailor on Kukul to do so. The ship's master diver, Chief Patrick Flanagan, encouraged him to reattempt first-class diving school and helped him study in preparation. In October 1963, Carl Brashear returned to the deep-sea diving school at the Washington Navy Yard to retake the course to become a first-class diver. To his surprise, he was required to repeat the 12 weeks of salvage diver instruction he had completed in 1954, for a total of 26 weeks of training. Brashear's response: "Well, okay, I'll just graduate as number 1." On track to finish first in his class, he was asked by his instructors to help another student who was failing. They knew I was sharp in diving, and they knew I knew what I was doing, so they put me with him. Brashear agreed and helped the classmate, sacrificing his first-place goal in the effort. He finished third in a class of 17 graduates after 13 failed. Because of Brashear's help, the struggling student also passed. Post-dive school, Carl Brashear spent a year aboard the fleet tug USS Shikori ATF 160 before requesting a transfer to the salvage ship USS Hoist Rs-40 in September 1965. Serving on Hoist would help him to earn qualifications needed to become a master diver. In February 1966, the Navy sent Hoist and her crew to Palomares, Spain, to help search for a hydrogen bomb. The thermonuclear weapon had fallen into the Mediterranean Sea after two U.S. Air Force aircraft collided the month before. The United States urgently needed to recover it before another nation could. On the afternoon of March 23, as Brashear directed the transfer of a crate to hold the bomb once found, the supply boat parted its mooring line. Brashear rushed to get his sailors to safety. A steel pipe broke loose, flew across the deck just as Brashear pushed a sailor out of the way, and struck Brashear. The blow critically injured his left leg. The Navy would later award Brashear the Navy and Marine Corps Medal for his heroism that day. His quick action saved the sailor's life, but put his own in jeopardy.